Welcome back to GlassCast, the official podcast of Glass Magazine, the publication of the National Glass Association. I'm Katy Devlin, content director of the NGA and editor-in-chief of Glass Magazine. Today's episode is brought to you by Viprotron, and I am joined by company president Ric Schmidt. Ric, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Katy. Good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you a little bit about what we do in the industry, and I'm just grateful to have the chance to be here with you. Thank you very much.
Well, Ric, let's just start out. Why don't you tell our listeners about yourself for the folks who might not know you?
Sure. So I've been in the glass business for a dozen years. Kind of started on the outside looking in. I was selling glass handlers at the beginning of my career, so working with glaziers and contractors and some manufacturers moving glass around plants. Then I graduated to selling edgers, bevelers, grinders, and did that for a few years, and then found my way to Viprotron, gratefully, fortunately. So been the president of Viprotron for about 2 years or so.
Wonderful. Well, Ric, we are right now on the GlassBuild America show floor here in Dallas. This has been a phenomenal show so far. But tell me about the show. How's it been for you? What's the most exciting thing you've seen?
It is an exciting show, and it's maybe trite to say it, but I've been doing this for a long time, 12 years, right? And these shows just keep getting better. They keep getting bigger. The displays become more and more interesting, and the whole vibe in the building is just fantastic. So, I just love coming to these things. It's kind of weird, maybe. I think some people don't like trade shows so much, but you walk in the door a few days ahead of time, pardon me, and there's like nothing. There's floor, there's people making stuff, there's bad boxes everywhere, there's noise, and you think to yourself, man, this is just never going to happen. And then you walk in on the first day, and it's like this beautiful city out of the ground, out of nowhere, and it's just fabulous to see it just rise off the ground. It excites me. I'm like a little kid. It excites me every time I see it. And what's interesting is the changes. Since I've been doing this for over a decade, you see a company with a booth for a few years, and all of a sudden you come in the next year, and the booth is totally different, and it's brand new, and it's bigger, and it's better TVs or whatever. It's more exciting. So it's cool to watch people grow over time.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. If you are able to check out the before images, then 5 days later when they roll out the carpet night before, it's a pretty invigorating experience to be here.
And I'll add one more thing. So we're no different. We actually have a new booth this year, speaking of which, and while it was a little challenging to put it up for the first time, it's kind of fun to have something brand new to show people, right? We built a mock-up of our scanner, and people can walk through it and look at it and see the results. So we've tried to bring our product to the floor where we can't bring a real one, right? But so we sort of created an environment that lets people sort of see what we do and feel what we do. So it was kind of exciting this year.
Oh, I'm looking forward to checking it out. So obviously the reason you're here is to talk to your customers. So what are you hearing from your customers? What are they looking for? And how is Viprotron working to meet those needs?
Well, okay, yes, Viprotron, we're in the glass business, and we're in the glass quality business. But actually, we're actually in the data business, and people don't always kind of put those two things together from us when we say we're in the quality business. So companies are, they're obviously looking to improve quality, but they're absolutely convinced that, data drives everything. So if we can provide a solution that, lowers defects and lowers returns and provides a short ROI to them, they're very happy to work with us, right? But what they really like and what they really are interested in is the data, right? We collect a lot of data about the production processes, and we can help them improve the production process with our data. And in the end of the day, that's a real value that we provide in addition to making sure the glass has good quality.
So you mentioned you've been in the business for 12 years, right?
Myself, yes.
Yes. So for the next, when you look out at the next 12 years or maybe just 5 years, what changes do you anticipate coming for the industry, and how are you at Viprotron preparing to help your customers navigate those changes?
Yeah, sure. Everybody's trying to grow and improve, just like we are. So, Viprotron is really in the innovation business when it comes to our scanners. Like we're always launching new scanners with new technology that we research and we invent literally out of nowhere. Some of the things that we've invented just blow my mind. How who came up with that idea? It's awesome, and we're working on inventing better software. And here's the key: we got to try to keep it simple for the customer, right? If the operator can look at our results of what could be viewed as a complicated scanner, we try to keep it real simple for them. They can understand immediately, is the glass good? Is the glass bad? Can I fix it? Can I not fix it? And so we try to keep it very simple for them. And on the data side, we actually try to keep it simple for that side as well. So when management wants to see what happened in production, what are our statistics looking like, and use the data that we're creating, we try to make that as simple as possible as well, so that they get the most out of our equipment, because it's easy to use. If it's easy to use, people will use it. If it's complicated, then they're not as happy about using that equipment. So we're trying to keep it simple, to use the equipment and to use the data.
What is the top piece of advice that you give to a customer who's interested in taking the leap and making an investment in a scanner?
It's I like the word invest, right? In that question, every business has to figure out and decide where to deploy capital, right? And they have to be careful, right? That the return on the investment is justifiable to upper management or the owner or whoever's writing the check, wherever the capital's coming from. They have to justify that, but it has to provide value even beyond the ROI calculation, right? Equipment is justified by, say, we buy this piece of equipment and we're going to make something and we're going to make money, hopefully, right? And that's an important consideration, right? It's simple. You buy a machine, you get X amount of production, you make X amount of profits, and you advance the business, right? That's how it goes. It's pretty straightforward. But in the glass industry, the raw materials that we're using are flawed. So we're not getting perfect materials coming in to make perfect products. We have products coming in that might not be right from the get-go. So our goal is to help identify the flaws in the glass from stem to stern, right? So it's coming in the door flawed. We want to try to catch that. But it can also be damaged during production. Glass is fragile, right? It can be scratched, it can be chipped, So we want to help customers identify anywhere along the way if that glass has become damaged, right? We don't want that to make it out into the field, right? The glass could lose 100% of its value before it ever leaves the building, right? But the bad news would be if it left the building damaged and got installed damaged, and now you have a problem, an expensive problem, right? So now the customer complains, you've got to return, you've got to replace it, and that becomes extremely expensive. So it's not really a simple equation of more production, more profits. Just make a lot of stuff and sell it, and we'll make a lot of money. If you don't have quality as a part of that process, right? Checking the glass after it's washed, checking it when you're laminating, checking it when you're tempering, checking it when you're making an IG. If you're not checking all along the way to make sure that fragile glass hasn't been damaged somewhere along the way and it makes it out to the field, that's the sort of thing that can just devour profits, right? So what I'd say about that is along the way during fabrication, you're risking adding money to bad glass, and in the worst case, having to get out to the field. So in addition to investing in machines and materials to make products with glass, you got to invest in quality. And that would be Viprotron, right? Equipment to make sure your glass survives the production process, and the customers that you serve get the highest quality product that they deserve. And then one last thing about that. It's really driving the intangible thing called reputation. If you put out bad glass and you keep doing it and you keep doing it, or you get a huge project and there's a whole building with bad glass, and there are articles that we see that you guys write about these catastrophes where someone didn't watch the quality process, you can lose your whole business. It's not a game. If you're not investing, as you say, in quality, it almost doesn't matter what you invest in equipment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've mentioned data a lot in this conversation, and I can't think about data and the wealth of data that we're all bringing in without them thinking about AI, which has been a huge growing topic in our industry. We collaborated on an article with you all in Glass Magazine a couple of months ago. AI came up there. This is a pretty daunting and also exciting area for glass fabricators. But can you talk a little bit about how these changes, these technology advancements, are affecting the glass fabricator?
Sure. So, every manufacturer of everything is pursuing automation because, right? If you can automate things, you can make more money and you can drive quality. And in many ways, the car business has been at the forefront of that. I bring it up because I'm from Detroit. And, many moons ago, a guy named Henry was making cars. And so the cars were sitting in one spot, and then, they brought the engine, and then they brought the transmission, and then they brought the seats and the dashboard, and then they put the hood, the top on it, and the wheels. And the car was made, and it drove out. And Henry was like, wow, that is slow. Why not have the car move and the people stay? So instead of having people running around, now the cars are moving, the people are in one spot. And it turns out when you do that, the guy who's putting on the lug nuts, or girl, is really getting good at it, right? They do the same thing over and over and over again. Well, guess what? Robots can do it even better. And so, the robots came, and unfortunately that has a displacement effect, and it's not nice to say, but machines don't make mistakes like people do. They can, but they don't often make a lot of mistakes. And what that means is not only efficiency, but quality. The lug nuts are tightened exactly right every single time. There's always 5, never 4. And so you can always be sure that the way the car is built, there are no flaws in it. And it's no different in the glass industry, right? We have a very labor-intensive process. And so I'm hearing from customers here on the floor, I hear it out in the field. They want to automate because they want to improve efficiency, but they also want to improve quality. So, and that requires data, right? So as it turns out, when we're scanning glass, we're collecting a lot of information. We know what the glass product is supposed to be. We know whose customer it goes to. And so all this information is coming down the line with the glass. We're collecting that and putting it with our scan that says the glass is good, the glass is not good. And so that data is actually part of the puzzle of automation, right? So, glass started out a long, long time ago, right? Hundreds of years ago, people made glass by hand for products, and then, as art, of course. And still, there's a lot of artwork going on with glass. There are a lot of artisans, and that's never going to go away. But glass production has become more and more and more efficient, and we're using machines to make IGs. We're not doing it by hand, right? So all of that automation is part of the process of gaining efficiency and gaining quality. The AI part of it is using the data that those machines are giving us and coordinating that data in such a way that we're putting out better products, better quality, and sadly, to some extent, using less people. But actually, it's not so easy to find people to do the work. So we're automating things that once that person's not doing that, they actually have another job somewhere else in the plant because it's hard to find enough people. So it's not really displacing anyone. It's just improving the process and improving quality. And we feel like we have an integral part of that as a quality scanner company.
It's exciting. There's a lot of change and advancements, and I really I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's always great to catch up and hear your insights on this. So thank you all for tuning in. That'll conclude our terrific conversation with Ric Schmidt, the president of Viprotron. Again, this is GlassCast, the official podcast of the NGA, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.